Hey y'all, and welcome back to my channel. In this tutorial we are going to be using a standard size water slide on a 32-ounce plump from the Steel Magnolia. Slide Hustle is an Etsy shop and they were so kind to send me a package full of all these beautiful water slides that they have in their shop. In my earlier tumbler making days, I had purchased water slides from quite a few shops, and I ended up starting to print them myself simply for the fact as they were always damaged whenever I got them in the mail because they were not properly packaged. First impression, these were packaged really well. Everything is separated. This was a white water slide, and then all of the clear water slides were in a separate package. There was also a couple spacers inside the folder just to prevent them from getting bent or messed up, and both packages had individual directions and how the water slides work and how you can apply them to your projects. I have a inkjet printer, so when I print water slides, and that's the most common I feel, when I print water slides I have to seal them 3 times with a clear sealer, allow that to dry in between each coat, and then I can apply it to my tumbler. So I would much rather support a small shop that can print me these laser jet water slides that I don't have to seal. The color is beautiful and vibrant because they have a higher quality printer, and I am also supporting another small business. Slide Hustle has their own in-house designer, so all of these designs are unique, and I was seriously just completely blown away with how beautiful and vibrant they were whenever I opened my package. So for this tumbler design, I am going to take the white water slide so I don't have to base paint my tumbler. I'm going to trim off that excess white around the border. And we are going to be putting this on a 32-ounce plump, but I did want to show you how well it fit the 24-ounce plump also from the Steel Magnolia. So after I get the top and the bottom white piece trimmed off of this water slide, I'm going to wrap it around my tumbler and just mark it off where this would overlap once I finally figure out which side I want to cut off. I literally stood there for like 3 minutes, y'all, and just flipped it back and forth. Not that it mattered anyway, because we're covering the seam with a decal, but I overthink everything, so it's fun. So I marked that off and trimmed off the excess, put that to the side because I am going to use it for a bookmark. It fit perfectly on top of the bookmark blank I grabbed from Cami Page Boutique. And once I had all of my signs trimmed off, I double checked to make sure that it was going to line up perfectly on my tumbler. I grabbed a towel and I just have an old spray bottle that I filled with water, and rather than dumping the whole water slide into water, I'm going to show you an alternative way to do that. Sometimes you don't have a bowl or a tray big enough to fit your entire water slide. You can get a spray bottle, spray your tumbler to make sure that it is wet, and then you can spray the back of your water slide as well. The ends of your water slide are going to curl up, and when they start to relax, your water slide is ready to apply to your tumbler. Now, these water slides were extremely durable, so I was able to just completely remove it from that backing and then place it on my tumbler as if I were doing a vinyl wrap, which was pretty awesome. I would never test something out without putting it through a rigorous true test before I told y'all that it was a good product to use, and this definitely survived the test. As you can see, I'm not being gentle with it at all. It folded over, it creased in multiple areas, it overlapped, and I was still able to constantly move that around, lift it up without this falling apart or flaking or any of the coloring coming off. Now, as I mentioned, this fit a 24-ounce plump from the Steel Magnolia, absolutely perfect, but I wanted to put a glitter on the top and the bottom of my water slide without taking away from too much of that design. So I wanted to give plenty of room on either ends for my glitter so I could still see all of my water slide. Now once I had it positioned in the center of my tumbler, I just took my little squeegee tool and worked out all of the water underneath the water slide. Now sometimes this can take a little more time than others, simply because it really depends on how much water you have underneath. But what is important is that you get everything that you can out, because if there is any water trapped underneath your water slide, as this dries, it's going to cause it to sort of like wilt in certain areas. So you could end up with some creases or even some pockets of water underneath, and that is not going to be good when you apply your epoxy. Now, if you don't have a squeegee tool, you can also use a stiff paintbrush. I'll use a 1 to 2 inch stiff paintbrush and just gently brush over the water slide, pushing that water out from underneath, just like my squeegee tool. You can also use wrapping tissue paper. Just make sure it's white so none of the ink from the tissue paper comes off on your water slide, or you can use a coffee filter. All of those things are gentle and they're not going to grab a hold of your water slide and move it when you're trying to get the water out from underneath. So I sat that to the side and allowed it to dry for about an hour or so, just to make sure all the moisture was out from underneath. I took it outside and spray painted both ends with Krylon Spiced Amber. Now, it was a pretty brave move spray painting before I added my first layer of epoxy. So if you were uncomfortable spray painting those ends and having lots of control over it, definitely add on a layer of epoxy, then spray paint your ends, or of course you can hand paint it, and then you can move into the next step. So I am taking about 2 milliliters of Speedy Petey from DIY Epoxy and putting a thin layer all over the entire tumbler. Now my phone died while I was recording, of course, but I did go back in and try to redo it or show y'all how I added the glitter. This is Play with Fire from PDB Creative Studio. There is a multi-size mix and a .015 cut, and you need both because it is absolutely beautiful. I went heavy around the top and bottom rims, held it at an angle, and then just lightly sprinkled the glitter so that it would fall towards the center of the tumbler. I patted down any of the bits that were standing up, allowed this to dry for 3 hours, sealed it with a matte clear coat, and then added on a layer of epoxy. Since our glitter was patted down really well and flat, it only took 1 layer of epoxy and some sanding to get this nice and level for our decal. I had a really pretty decal picked out for this tumbler, and for whatever reason it would not load in my design space, so I went with the other one that just popped up on the screen, and I absolutely hated it. So for whatever reason, this came to mind, and I did make this decal myself, and it will be available in the Brittany Barnes Boutique Tumbler art group. I'm not gonna say it, y'all can read. I know our kiddos watch some of these tutorials with us, mine does, but the meaning behind this is if you want something, then go after it, make it happen. So I thought it was pretty fitting. Even something as small as completing a tumbler design that you're having all kinds of troubles with, own all of the mistakes and keep trying until you get it complete. I used TeckWrapcraft textured gold vinyl, as well as this gorgeous sage. This sage color come in my 001 matte sample pack from TeckWrapcraft, and I loved it so much I had to go buy a roll of it. So I will link that below for y'all as well. Once I had my decal on, I added about 25 milliliters of DIY Speedy Petey epoxy. And then once I finished adding my epoxy, I popped it onto my turner and torched for any micro bubbles. Now this still did need one extra coat of epoxy. I'll sand it just a little bit and then add on a final layer. But look at this tumbler. I very rarely take videos and photos of my tumblers in direct sunlight, but this one was straight fire in the sun. Look at that glitter, y'all, and the vibrant water slide in behind it. They knew exactly what they were doing over at PDB Creative Studio when they named this glitter Play with Fire. Between the water slide, the glitter, and my favorite color vinyl, I don't know if I'll be able to let this one go. I hope that y'all enjoyed this tutorial. As always, all of the products that I have used will be listed down in the description below, as well as some discount codes. Join our Facebook group if you want to grab that file, and of course for some fun and giveaways in there as well. Like this tutorial and subscribe to our channel. That helps us out so much. Hit the bell in the corner to be notified anytime a new tutorial drops. That is all for today. Thank you all so much, and we'll see you next time.